How can I revise effectively when my brain feels like a sieve?
Oh, okay. Well, I think the thing to think about is study skills is, it's a skill, learning how to study and getting the best out of yourself. And that's the same for everybody. And then the thing is, with MS, sometimes people have difficulties with some of their cognitive skills. So things like their memory or their attention skills might not be as good as they were before, or it might change over time if you're tired or you've had a bad night's sleep or you're having a relapse. All of those things are to be taken into account. But I think the thing I find useful is to consider your own learning style, which quite often we don't even know. So do you seem to respond well to seeing things visually? So pictures and diagrams and videos or mind maps and things, or do you like to hear the information? Do you like to write it down? So I think have a look at your own learning style, and there's quite a lot of kind of questionnaires. If you look it up online, you can do one and get a sense of your own style. And then think about what techniques are you going to use to try, and it's probably a bit of a trial and error sort of thing initially. So for example, is it good if you highlight or underline certain topics or key things so that it stands out to you more? Is it good if you video things and then you can watch it back or record it so you can listen back to it? And then maybe use your friends and peers as well to help you to study. So like a group where you're interviewing each other, or you're doing a role play, or they're testing you and you're having to say it out loud and repeat it, because again that helps to get things into your memory. And then really you need to think about how you organise yourself, and that really comes down to, I probably would suggest having some sort of diary or calendar where you can literally plan in time to do certain pieces of work, so it's not left to the last minute, so that then you're not worrying that it's at the end of, sort of just before the deadline, and then that increases your anxiety and stress as well. And there again, if you've got specific difficulties, like that you don't remember things very easily, then using something as a reminder or with alarms or prompts will help you. Again, something on your phone, often we've all got smartphones nowadays, so it's so easy just to have an alarm that goes off to help you to remember to go and do X or Y. And then planning it into your weekly routine. I think that's really important. So when you're at uni and you've got all these conflicting things, like you want to go out with your mates and you need to cook yourself some dinner, or do your shopping, all of that, and do your study and get a good night's sleep and hopefully do some exercise, you need to really schedule different activities and pace yourself, which is really important, I think, in terms of making sure you don't get overloaded and too tired. And what's important, when does it need to be done? Does it need to be done now or not? Can you do a bit of it now and do some more of it later?
Yeah, so make like a sort of like priority list, what's most important.
Yeah, I think it's really important. And we've all got conflicting priorities, and like if you're coming up to an exam or something and you're having to study for it, and you're still managing the rest of your life, the cooking and all of those things, sometimes you just need to give yourself a chance and set some easier, use some strategies for those things that make them easier, so you've got more time to study. So batch cook and just shove it in the microwave, get the odd takeaway. It's not going to be the end of the world, depending on your student budget. Order your shopping online, or ask for help. Don't be afraid to use your friends and peers for support, because everybody needs to have support at some time or another. And your aim is to get through that exam and get that assignment in on time.
So you mentioned smartphones. We've seen a lot of rise in sort of like brain training apps at the minute.
Yeah.
Can brain training actually help improve cognitive function?
Oh, that's a good question. Yeah, I mean, I think there are lots of those different apps, and there is definitely room for improvement in certain cognitive skills. It really does depend what cognitive difficulty you've got. So for example, memory, there are certain things that it's very difficult to sort of make better, and a lot of it is about compensating for those difficulties. So a lot of the apps that you can get now help you sort of diarise things and schedule alarms and things so that you're overcoming the difficulty with your memory. But there is room for improvement in other areas like your attention and concentration skills, definitely. And I think, you know, using some of those can be quite helpful. So yeah, I think it's worth speaking to your therapists about, and it's worth trying those things at times.
Okay.
Yeah.